If you saw last week's video, you might remember that we built this run stand so we could run that motor right there. Well, we got to rebuild that motor, so let's get it off of here and onto an engine stand, get it rebuilt, put it back on here, get it running. All right, let's get this old fella off of here real quick like. It sure is handy right there. Handy dandy. I gotta have my safety devices. Safety bird. That is handy dandy right there now. Let me tell you. I guess we'll take it outside for now. I think I told y'all a little bit about this last week. I'll tell you again. It's the older gentleman that, been getting vehicles from, the old Lockjaw, and remember the station wagon, and yep, that Dodge. I got to come up with a nickname for that aggravating Dodge. Anyway, y'all put some nicknames down there, what you think it ought to be. I got some names for it, but I can't really say them in the video. Anyway, he's got an 85 C30 1-ton square body. It's got the 6.2 diesel in it, and well, he's been in there forever. He's had the truck forever. Well, he's decided that he wants a gasoline motor, so he pulled this one out of a 82 or 3 motorhome that he had. Well, this project was started, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember if I pulled the heads. I really don't remember. I do remember, us discussing what he wanted to do to it. But anyway, he had it sitting in the back of an old pickup truck under his carport. It was covered up, and he greased the cylinders real good. But for whatever reason, them suckers rusted anyway, which it ain't bad. You can't even hardly feel it. But what he wanted me to do originally was just hone the cylinders out just like it sits, and then put it together. Well, I got to thinking, no, I'm not going to do that. It's been sitting outside, covered up with dust. The dirt can still get to it. And then it's been sitting here in the basement while I was building that run stand for the last week, just grinding dust and everything else flying in it. So I called him up and I said, look, let's just tear the thing apart. Let me clean it out real good, and then I'll hone it good, and we'll just do a full rebuild on it. He's like, okay, let's do that. So that's where we're at. Reason the heads intake are off is he decided that he wanted to do Vortec heads. This is an 82, 83 motor, and the heads on them just terrible. Compression real low. They don't flow good. So anyway, he decided to put some Vortec heads on it, so that's what we're putting on it. Of course, we got a Vortec 4-barrel intake going on it. Basically, it's just going to be your run-of-the-mill small block Chevrolet rebuild. So I'll probably time-lapse a lot of this, because there's a million of those videos on the YouTubes. So anyway, let me set the camera up, and we'll start tearing the thing apart. Well, there it is. We got it tore apart. That rust, I told you, it was pretty light. Well, it was so light that knocking the pistons out, the rings pretty much took all the rust out, except for just a little bit right there on each one. I can still see crosshatch. You see it right down in there. It's got some vertical scar, and that's from probably, pulling them out just now with all that rust. But other than that, it looks wonderful. I think it'll hone out great. There is absolutely no ridge whatsoever. I'm going to put a dial bore gauge in there probably after a while, just check them and see. The bearings, here are the rod bearings. They got a little wear. You can see them right there. But it ain't, super duper bad. Main bearings, they're about the same. They ain't too bad. Let me throw the crank up here and we'll look at it real quick. Here's the crank, and well, you ain't gonna believe me unless I show you. It looks brand spankingly new. Ain't nothing wrong with that crank at all. Cam, all the bearing surfaces look brand spankingly new. I don't see any funny wear on none of the lobes. By the way, we're reusing the stock cam. Pistons, I haven't looked at them real close, but I didn't see no whole bunch of scuffing. Yeah, I think we'll put a new set of bearings and rings, hone it out, and it'll go another 100,000 miles. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna clean that up, the cam, all that stuff there, put them in a bag, keep the dust and dirt off of them. Then I'll roll this outside, go to scraping and cleaning on it, and then, well, we'll just start putting it back together. All right, I'm not gonna bore y'all with a whole lot of cleaning videos. That's just, it's boring. Tell you what I am gonna show you though, how I clean a crank up. Mainly what I'm after is making sure that these oil passages are not stopped up. And I'll use my old carburetor cleaner. I'll clean all the oil passages out, but let me tell you this, that stuff right there, she takes all the earls and all the greases out. So as soon as you get done with that, you better be putting some WD-40 on it, because I guarantee you she'll rust pretty quick. Anyway, let me get this cleaned up, and then I think I'm going to hone that before I take it outside and clean it. I might show a little bit of that, but like I said, I'm not going to bore y'all with a bunch of cleaning videos. So let me get this stuff done, and we'll get back to putting this back together. All right, I got the crank done, I got the cam done, and I got the main caps done. They're sitting right there in them 2 plastic bags. Hopefully they won't get dirty and nasty sitting down there in the basement. I have not done the pistons and rods because, well, I hate doing them. You got all those ring grooves you got to do, and then oil right now is puddled in each one of them, and, well, I hate doing pistons. I hate cleaning them. So we'll do them last. Let me give you a little bit of advice. Always do the stuff you like first. If you wake up dead tomorrow morning, you will have done stuff you didn't like and didn't do the stuff you did like. So always do the stuff you like first. Anyway, let me start honing on this block right here, and we'll get that out of the way, and then get that outside. I'll go to scraping on it, spraying it with gunk, and hopefully get it all brand new and shiny. All right, I have talked to y'all about hones before. I believe it was in the lockjaw video when I rebuilt that motor. Basically, what I told you is I do not like dingleberry hones. They have their purpose, I guess, but this one right here, that's what I want to use. A dingleberry hone will make you think you got a perfect cylinder. No, sir. You use one of these right here, it's going to show you every imperfection in that cylinder. Anyway, I done got them wiped out. I like to lube them with a little bit of WD. You don't want to turn the drill real fast, but you do want to go in and out real fast. Something like this right here. Basically what you're shooting for is a 45-degree hatch. But right now at the first, I'm just trying to see what kind of imperfections we got going on. It ain't too bad. What I can tell, definitely ain't as bad as lockjaw was. You got your little stuff up here at the top. Other than that, it ain't too bad. Let me hold it a little bit more, and I'll just show y'all. I usually do it 15-20 seconds, and then I'll stop and check it. Yeah, that ain't looking too bad at all. No, sir. Sure ain't. let me show y'all that. All right, let me show y'all what I got so far. It don't look too bad. A little bit of dark spot down there at the bottom, or it's probably egg-shaped a little bit. And of course you got this up top. I'm not gonna try to get all that out. I'm mainly going for smooth and crosshatch. I need a little more angle on my crosshatch. Well, let's look at the old one there. See how it is. And then you look at mine. It's close, I guess. Anyway, let me do it a little bit more. And then, well, I'll stop and show y'all again. I'll tell you this too, when you first starting out, you can make the drill speed a little higher, because right then you're not worried about crosshatch. You're just trying to take material out, get it flat, smooth, and all that. But then when you're getting close to the end, I always slow my drill down quite a bit, and then go in and out a lot faster. That looks pretty good, I think. Other than that down at the bottom, but I'm not gonna worry about it, I don't think. Let me show y'all that real quick. Well, there it is. Crosshatch is a little bit better. Like I said, I don't really like that dark spot down in there, but I don't want to take it out too far because we're going back with stock bore rings. Anyway, that ain't too bad. I'm happy with that. I believe it'll be okay. I got 7 more holes to do, and then I'll be back when I get done. Alrighty, let me wipe that out. See what it looks like, and I think we may be done honing this block out. It ain't bad, not bad at all. I can live with it. All right, let's take a look at the cylinders. They don't look too bad. Remember, this is a backyard rebuild. This is not a race motor or anything like that. Yes, I do leave a little dark spots up here. I'm not going to try to take that much out of the cylinder. I just ain't going to. My main concern when I shine my light down in here is to make sure I ain't got no dark spots, here and there and everywhere. The dark spots are low spots, so that means the rings are not going to touch there. That means oil can go by. That means you're going to have blow by and burning oil. I'm not too concerned with that up here. That is the low spot where the ring come up here and it'd flop and carry on, and it'd dig it deeper there. That's when they call this a ridge, it really ain't. It's a dugout spot. Anyway, I don't worry about that too much. Like I said, I try to get the whole cylinder, a lot more square than it used to be. Like I said, it ain't a race car. It's a backyard rebuild, and here at here at this and that garage's backyard butchery, this right here it's pretty good. We can live with it. Anyway, I'm gonna push this outside and go to scraping on it and cleaning it. It's getting dark, so once I get that done, I'll probably call it a day, and we'll pick it up again tomorrow. Well, I decided to get my dial bore gauge out before I roll it outside and clean it up. I was just curious as to where we were at. It's hard to do this and hold the camera and look at it through the camera, but it's about 2.5 to 3 thousandths over bore. That's 2.5 there, going down a little more. You got about 2.5 right there. And then you want to turn it 90, check it again. We're at about 3 right there. And I don't even know if I'm holding this square in the bore, but that's about 3. We're about 2.5, 3 thousandths over. And if it's got any taper, it may be 1/2 thousandth. For backyard butchery rebuilds, that's not bad at all. I'm happy with it. I think it'll be a pretty good motor. Let me roll it outside and start cleaning on it. Well, it's the next day, and I did not get the block cleaned last night. I did get it scraped with a screwdriver and a putty knife and all that. Got all the old gasket material off. So let's roll her on outside and get her degunked. Or I'm using gunk engine degreaser there. Am I degunking or am I gunking? I don't know. Let me roll it outside and we'll get it cleaned off. whilst I'm gunking, or is it degunking? Anyway, whilst I'm spraying gunk on that block down there, I thought I'd come over here and show y'all this. I popped the hood on this thing last night. I'm going to do a little tuning on it. Also, oh, by the way, absolutely terrible choice of cams. This thing is weaker than it was when it stock, I'm pretty sure. You know, I know it needs a stall, but still, you know, when you get on up in RPM range, it ought to have a little bit of pep. I'm telling you, it's pretty weak. I've tuned on it till I'm blue in the face, and well, it's just a weak cam. So you'll probably see another video sometime, me putting a different cam in this. Anyway, popped the hood, and there was white powder all over everything. I was like, what in the devil is that? Well, then it hit me. We had snow a couple weeks ago. Of course, I drove this in snow. Where there's snow, there's salt. You see this big hole right here? It's the same over here. There's supposed to be a little apron there. Well, mine are gone. They were rotten, so I threw them away. The tires slung salt and snow all over the motor. It was pretty bad. Anyway, I've been spraying gunk on it, trying to clean it off. I just got done spraying it off with the hose. So yeah, don't do that. If you got one of these trucks and you drive it in the snow, make dang sure you got them little aprons. I've been trying to figure out, you know, for the last couple of years, why in the world is my headers and my valve covers so dad blame rusty? Well, now I know. It was even, it done started turning the carburetor white. It may still be a little bit. But yeah, I got to see if I can find them, see if LMC has them. If not, I'll have to make some. But yeah, don't do that. Don't be dumb like me. All right, I got the block all cleaned up. I got it blew off with the air. And then I got it WD fortified. Now I'm cleaning up these pistons. Basically all you do, pull all the rings out. And if you don't have a ring groove cleaner, I have one, but I broke it and I never bought, you know, the part that broke. Anyway, all you do is take an old ring, break a piece of it off. And you just get down in the groove there and just go to town on it, cleaning up all the carbon buildup and whatever else is in it. These here ain't too bad. But yeah, you need to get all that up. If you don't get that out, then it'll maybe build up behind the ring. You know, the ring has to squeeze a little bit. And if it's got build up here, well, when it goes to squeezing, it very well could break it. So you got to clean these grooves out. Anyway, let me get all this done. Get these pistons cleaned up. And then I reckon we'll be ready to put that thing back together. Well, this is the last piston I got to clean up. As soon as I get this Earl ring groove cleaned up, I'm going to take them outside and spray them with some gunk. Get them good and cleaned up. And I reckon we'll get over and I'll put the crank in it. And, well, we'll just put the whole thing together. How about that? I'm out here cleaning these parts up, and, well, look who showed up. She's a little scared. She's scared of loud noises, and she doesn't like the hose pipe here. Come here, girl. Don't be scared. Come here. Say hello, everybody. You been doing all right today? All right, we'll see you later. Well, all the gunk has been sprayed off, and it's dried up, and let me tell you, that carburetor, well, it looks pretty bad. See all that white? I don't know if you can see it or not. Yep. It's done corroded it pretty bad. Yeah, I got to get me some aprons here. I believe it did knock it off of, yeah, it knocked it off of here. And my regulator back there was all white. It looks pretty good now. But yeah, it's done its damage to that carburetor. So yeah, I got to do something about that. Well, I got all the pistons cleaned up. I don't have the rings on them yet. I'll do that later. What I want to do right now is we're fixing to start putting this thing back together. I'm going to put the crank in it. I'm going to do some plastic gauge so I can check the clearances. If you don't know what plastic gauge is, well, it's just right here. See that itty bitty stuff right there? That's plastic. What you do, you put your bearing half in here, set your crank down in there, and then you cut your little strip of this off. You'll lay it this way on the crank. Then you'll put your main cap on with your other bearing half in it. You'll torque them all down to spec. You'll take the bearing cap back off, and this plastic squishes. And it'll be one of these widths right here. And you'll put this up against it. However wide it is, you'll match this up with this. Well, that's your bearing clearance. So let me get all that started, and well, we'll just see what kind of clearance we got. I'm gonna see if I can hold this steady enough and hold the camera steady enough. Let y'all see. We're at about 2 thousandths. Pretty close to it. Every one of them is like that. So that's pretty doggone good. It ain't real sloppy. That's good. Which I didn't think it would be looking at this crank. It looks really, really good. Anyway, I got to pull that crank out, clean the plastic gauge off, lube everything up, put it back together. And then I guess we'll start putting the rods in and we'll check clearance on them. Well, I got the crankshaft back in over there and she spins pretty good. I've been working on my pistons, getting the rings put in. I checked the gap on them a minute ago and they're about 16, 17 thousandths. That's exactly where it needs to be. I got my bearings put in the rods and the rod caps. I reckon now it's time to put these pistons in here, see what kind of clearance we got on them. All right, well, I guess we'll start with cylinder 1, putting these pistons in. Let me give you a little tech tip here. Small block Chevrolet anyway. Top of the piston is going to be marked some kind of way. That there's got a groove. It'll have a notch, a dot, an arrow, something. That always goes to the front of the motor. Also, don't forget your hose on your bolts so you don't knock your crank up or the cylinder either. Also, let me tell you this. See your little tang for your bearing right there? Yes, sir. That goes to the outside always. If you're putting that on and it's to the inside, well, you either got the whole assembly backwards or you've got it discombobulated some kind of way. Anyway, let's get this thing in here. All right, I think I will continue on putting these in. We'll flop it over, put the other ones in on that side. Then we'll flop it on his head. And I'll put the plastic gauge in, put the caps on, tighten them down, check clearance, and well, just keep right on the trucking. All right, I'll be back when I got it on his head and we're fixing to check the clearance. Do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do. Do. All right. All right, now comes the fun part. We're getting this little bitty plastic gauge down in here and getting the caps on without it moving. That is cylinder 1. Now remember, your tang, they match and they go to the outside. Stay. Well, let me get all this put on, get them torqued down, and I'll be back and I'll let you know if we're good or not. Well, that's good. Just drop the nut down in there. Hopefully I can get it with a magnet. Probably not. This part right here is my least favorite of anything to do with rebuilding a small block Chevrolet, is getting these dead lane caps off. Come on off of there. You sorry son of a gun. It's aggravating right here. Well, my camera quit recording. It got full, so I had to empty my trash folder. Anyway, we got an issue here. Let me show you with this plastic gauge right here. That there is showing, let me get the camera in there. That's showing 1.5 thousandths right there. Let me put you on this one right here. That one, 1.5 thousandths. That's too tight. That's way too tight. Well, it's the next day again, and I think we left off last night. I told y'all that we had 1.5 thousandths of rod bearing clearance, and I don't like it. It's too tight. Well, I got my mic out and mic'd it, and well, my mic somehow has gotten out of calibration. Here it is right here. What it was showing, wasn't jiving with what the plastic gauge was saying. So anyway, I finally, got my brains together. I checked the calibration on my mic, and well, it shows even more wear on the rods now. It's showing about 1.5 thousandths wear on these two journals here. I can't get to them yet, but for it to show 1.5 thousandths wear here, but the plastic gauge only show 1/1000 clearance. One or the other's wrong. That just can't be right. I'm going to say the plastic gauge is, but just to be sure, I'm going to pull a couple of pistons out. We're going to put the rod caps on it, torque them down. I'm going to stick them in the vise right here, get my snap gauge, and we're going to get a measurement on the inside of that bearing. We'll do some math, and that'll tell us what our clearance is. I would be more apt to believe that, but, you know, these are from China. I don't know how, I checked, I got 4. It's a whole set right over there. I don't know how they got off, but they're all off, well, you know, 5 to 7 tenths. The only thing I can think of is last time I used them was, I don't use them that often. Last time I used them was back in the summer, and I checked them, and they were all dead nuts on. So maybe it's the difference in the temperature. You know, it's 30, 40, 50 degrees cooler now. So that may have been what did that. Anyway, from now on, when I pull one of them suckers out, I'm going to calibrate it first thing. Anyway, let me get the rod set up here in this vise, and we'll check the measurement on that bearing. And I might even go get another mic, borrow another mic, and see what it reads, you know, just as a backup, because this just don't make any sense. All right, I got the rod and piston tightened up here in the vise. I got the bolts torqued down. This is a snap gauge, if you don't know. They move in and out. You stick them in a circle, just like that right there. Get you an ID measurement. They can be a little tricky to get it right, but anyway, let me get that measurement, and we'll see what we got. All right, this is how you use a snap gauge. I already showed you, that moves in and out. Where you tighten it up right here, it'll stay. Watch it pop out. So anyway, you stick it in there, get it off center. See how that's aimed up? Well, once you get her off center, you tighten that up a little bit. Don't tighten it up real tight. Then what you do is you just bring her on around, and it's going to fall out. Then you take your mic and you measure here to here. So let me grab my mic, and we'll measure that, and I'll be right back. I'll tell you what we got. I know y'all can't see it, but I got the dial bore gauge out too. I'm going to use it to check. And it's showing about 1,500 over 2.1 inches. So that'd be 2.1015. Well, let me do some math, and I'll get back to let you know what kind of clearance we actually have. Well, according to 2 separate precision measuring instruments, plastic gauge is in fact garbage, and I don't know that I'll ever use it again. Like I said, it shows about 1.5 thousandths clearance. Well, I done told you the rod here, it's showing a 1,000th over a stock crank journal. Well, this one here measures 98.8. This one measures 99.3. So you do the math. I got about 2.3 thousandths clearance here. I got about 2.5 thousandths clearance here. That's a-okay with me. So what we're going to do is I'm going to clean this junky plastic gauge off of here. I'm going to graze up my bearings real good and put this thing back together, torque it up. Also know, by the way, I measured the bore with the dial bore gauge. Well, guess what I calibrated the dial bore gauge with? The mic over there, that was off. It was off, that one there, that was the 3 to 4 inch. It was off about 7 or 8 tenths. So, yeah, we don't have the wear on the cylinders we thought either. It'll be around 2-ish, a little over maybe. So that's good also. Anyway, let's proceed and put this thing together. Just for giggles, I decided to try the red plastic gauge. I used the green. It's 1 to 3 thousandths right there. Well, the red is 2 to 6. I just thought I'd throw a piece in there just to see what it come up with. And it is showing, if I can get this down in here and hold this camera, it is showing right there at 2 thousandths. Let me get the camera in there. About 2, maybe a little bit less. I mean, that's better than the green, but it still ain't right. What have we learned by this little experiment? Number 1, always trust precision instruments, but you must calibrate them. Plastic gauge? Well, I just got the rods in, got them all tightened up. Completely forgot to record that, but that's old boring stuff. Anyway, but I did want to tell y'all this. The mic, the first time I put the mic on the crank, it was showing oversized. I thought that was kind of odd. Well, I got online and looked it up, and there were some guys that said they'd seen cranks oversized from the factory. Well, I talked to the guy that owns one of our local machine shops, and he said in his, I don't know, 30, 40 years of working on small block Chevrolets, he's never seen one oversized from the factory. Well, then that made a light go off in my head that, you know, my mic's probably off. And, well, thanks to him, I checked the mic. I probably would have checked it eventually, but he sort of sped the process up in my brain. So, appreciate it, Mark. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do next, flip it over. Let's get the cam in it, get the timing chain, all that on it. So then I can go ahead and get the oil pan on it. Then we'll put the heads on it, just keep on putting it together. All right, I'm fixing to put the cam in it. Like I told y'all, we're reusing the old one. Reusing the old lifters too. I did keep them in order so you can put them back in the same spot. I don't know if that matters or not. You read online, some of the old timers say, nope, we never worried about it. We never even broke a cam in, much less, you know, kept the lifters in the same hole. Well, then you listen to an engine builder. Oh my goodness, don't ever do that. Put them in the same hole. So, you know, who do you believe? Anyway, I wanted to say this. It seems like there's a lot of cams that are going bad during break-in. And people have been speculating, you know, it may be the old cheap China metal. Well, actually, it's not. According to one guy, I run across his video 2 or 3 weeks ago on the YouTubes. He's got a machine shop, and he checked a bunch of cams and a bunch of lifters for their hardness. And he said, that's fine. The metal's fine. He said, it's the machine work. The lobes are supposed to have an angle cut on them for, you know, a flat tappet. And the bottom of the lifters are supposed to be tapered, conical. I don't know what you call it. It ain't supposed to be flat, is what I'm trying to tell you. And he said a lot of them, they're just flat. And, well, the one reason why you want it angled on the cam lobe is it keeps the cam pushed back that way, keeps it from walking out of the front of the block. And the lifters are not flat because, you know, they rotate. And if it's flat and the lobe is flat, the lifter never rotates, and it just sits there and eats the cam up and the lobe. So anyway, that's what he says is going on. So if you're going to put a flat tappet cam in the motor, well, you might ought to check the lobes and the bottom of the lifters, make sure they got the right taper. Anyway, I'm just going to time lapse all this, and I guess we'll start putting the cam in. Well, I reckon it just wouldn't be normal if I didn't have multiple issues on anything I do anymore. I was getting ready to put the timing chain set on, and, well, if you remember Dumas, you know, I put a new timing chain set on it. It was a Coy's, and it was really loose, you know, brand spankingly new, and it was really loose. And a couple of y'all commented you had the same issue out of Chloe's, so I thought, well, I'm going to get something different this time. Well, I got on Amazon, and come across this Comp Cams timing chain set, and you can see it looks like a regular small block Chevrolet bolt pattern here. Of course, it's got the adjustment here. The picture they showed on Amazon, it wasn't adjustable. It was just a regular old small block Chevrolet timing set. Well, this is what I got. I ain't got a clue what this fits. There's no bolt holes. It's got a keyway there. It's a S-402. Maybe some of y'all know what that fits. It ain't gonna fit a regular old small block Chevrolet cam. So I guess if I want to get this thing done, I'm just going to go to O'Reilly's and get a Cloy's, and fingers crossed that it ain't too loose. Well, the older gentleman that this motor belongs to, he's bringing me a timing chain set. And whilst I wait, I looked up this number right here, 2103, on this timing chain set that I got from Amazon. Looked it up on summitracing.com, and it's for Dodge, a Mopar small block. Yep. I'll put a picture up here of the description and the picture on Amazon. You can see it says small block Chevrolet, and then here's what Summit Racing shows. Yep, small block Mopar. That's great. Anyway, maybe we can get this motor at least mostly put together by tonight. Possibly run it tomorrow. I don't know. I tell you what, it's probably going to take him a while to get back with that timing chain set. Let's just go ahead and put the heads on. We'll put the fuel pump on, put the starter on. I will just put whatever we can on. I just don't like standing around doing nothing. So let's get busy. chain come from AutoZone. Duralast, built to last, something like that. What is the part number? I don't see a part. Yeah, I do. 73017-3. That's much better than the Chloe's. I believe I'll start using them. It's double roller. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anyway, let's get busy getting this thing put together. Yep. Raise your hand if you know why I'm fixing to pull this oil pan back off. How many of you caught it? Let me show you. If you didn't catch it, let me show you. Let's hope I ain't messed up my gaskets. Or I'll put a little bit of RT and V back on it, but I think we're good. Yep. All right, now what do you see missing in this area? Very important. A very important piece of the engine is called the Earl pump. Yep. Well, an hour or two ago, I was getting this ready, putting the new pickup putting the old pickup on the new pump, getting this shaft on, and I thought to myself, it would be terrible if I forgot to put this on and fired this thing up, and it almost happened. I'm telling you, well, I don't know what's wrong with my brain. It don't work sometimes. Anyway, let me get this oil pump on. All right, let me get that tightened up. I ain't gonna make y'all sit through this. You've already seen it once. Anyway, get this tightened up, get the oil pan back on. Well, I'm gonna put the starter on probably. We'll flip it over. Lifters, push rods, and all that stuff. Well, I was just about to put the old 4-bubble intake on here, and I opened up my gasket set, and well, that's my intake gasket right there. I don't think, well, I really don't know. This looks like the stock type for the stock plastic intake. I ain't sure that's going to work for that 4-barrel intake right over in the box. I might have to do some studying. I didn't use this on mine, when I converted it over to Vortec heads. So I'm probably going to get the same gaskets I use. It's late. My back is killing me. I've been standing up, I don't know, about 10 hours today on this concrete, and it's killing me. I'm going home. I'm going to rest a little bit, and then hopefully this thing will be put back together tomorrow, and we'll hear it fire up sometime tomorrow afternoon, evening, night. I don't know. Well, it's the next day again. Is there another again? Actually, it's the afternoon, evening. When does evening start? You can see it's daylight outside, so maybe it's not evening yet. Maybe it's still afternoon. Anyway, I've been busy doing stuff today. Spent most of the morning prepping and painting the run stand, running around town getting parts. Speaking of parts, got me some intake gaskets. Them other ones, they probably would have worked, but I just didn't like the looks of them. Plastic with that little bitty old beater, and I'd rather use them. Anyway, everything you see on this table has got to go in or on this vehicular propulsion apparatus. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Yeah, so I got to get all this stuff on Stoll Lockjaw's distributor. I hated doing that, but I forgot to buy him one. I'm going to buy him one just like I put on my 4-wheel drive. it'll be here in a few days. Anyway, that one will do for now. So, yeah, let's just quit talking about it. You can't get nothing done talking, so let's just do it. Well, I reckon we're one step closer here to the old thing run. I got a little bit more to do. I got to make another trip to Ireland. Here's my little list right here. Got to have thermostat. I only had one set of valve cover bolts. He bought parts. I bought parts. I guess we just didn't get all the parts we needed. Anyway, got to have some header bolts. Got to have the hole down for the distributor. Got to have what are they called? Radiator hoses. Got to wire it up. Yeah. We got a little bit more to do. I believe we'll hear it run tomorrow. Now let me show you this. Some of y'all commented, and I guess you thought this was rickety. I mean, I'm telling you, it ain't going nowhere. It's not bolted into the car. There's no load on it. There's not going to be torquing anything, so it'll be just fine. I promise you. Anyway, it's been another 10-hour day. Tired. I'm hungry. I'm about to starve to death. I'm wasting away to nothing. Anyway, I guess maybe we'll finish it up tomorrow. Well, I just got back from Ireland with what I'm hoping is my last batch of parts. They didn't have both hoses. This is the bottom one. They didn't have the top one. It's 1.25 inches from the radiator to 1.5 inches right here. They didn't have it. Dude is pretty much the same setup. Small block Chevrolet with a, this is a early 50s Chevrolet truck radiator. So I may have to steal that hose off a Dude so we can run it. But I got a bigger problem right now. See this plug right here? Well, that's where my temperature sending unit's supposed to screw in. Well, this plug is a square drive. It's nothing unusual, except that it's not quarter, it's not 3/8, it's not 1/2 inch. Normally square drive you'll stick an extension on there with a ratchet and turn it right out. Well, that one there's 5/16. I don't have a 5/16 ratchet. I tried putting the Allen wrenches in there, beating them in there. Nope, that didn't work. I got a piece of 5/16 high-speed steel, lathe cutting bit. It shattered it because this is so tight in there. Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna get that out. As soon as I get that out, well, we'll start putting everything else on the motor, and then we'll roll it outside and start it up. Well, I just got done drilling 4 1/8-inch holes in my thermostat. If you remember from the 4-wheel drive video, I put Vortec heads on it. Well, these here are Vortec heads. These do not have the coolant bypass hole in them. What they do on the Vortec motors is, I can't remember if they come from the water neck or the manifold, but they'll come to the water pump, or water pump, as they say in North Carolina, and that will be their coolant bypass. Well, you can do it on this one. There's a hole there and there's a hole there. Just run your hose here to here. I just chose to drill holes in the thermostat. I think that'll work just fine and dandy. It's been doing good on my truck, so yep. Me and this little plug right here, I'm telling you, we've had a battle for a pretty good while. I broke several things. It's in there really, really tight. I don't know, maybe they Loctited it in. Well, I'm probably gonna break this. I hope it comes loose though, because I'm starting to get mad. Oh my goodness, that's just ridiculous. I'm probably gonna break this. Yep. Golly, it ain't coming out. This socket right here, my lovely assistant Mason across the road there, he said he's had this socket forever, and he thought it might be an adapter. Well, it don't fit quarter or 3/8, and that's what it is. I looked it up online. I've never, I've worked on a lot of stuff, a lot of gearboxes, a lot of equipment, and we get run across them plugs all the time, but they're usually quarter, 3/8, or half-inch drive. I've never run across one that's 5/16. Well, I looked online for a square socket set and finally found what they called a pipe plug socket set. And guess what? It's got a 5/16 socket in it. I've never, this right here, when I get it out, she's going in the trash. If I ever get it out. Let me get the torch and heat that thing up. See if it'll come loose. My goodness gracious. Well, I have lost the socket. Ain't that something to tell the captain right there? Here it is. I see it. I found it. I found it. Oh, look at there. A little bit of heat's all she needed. And the right socket. All right, maybe I can proceed and get this thing running. My goodness. I'm about tired of it. Y'all see that trash can right there? See its plug? Perfect shot. Why don't y'all look at this right here? I was over looking for a battery cable for the starter for this motor. I found a very handy little carry handle for a battery. You put that one on the positive, you put that one on the negative, and you just pick it up and go with it. That's a joke, by the way. Please don't do that. You'll blow the battery up and possibly kill yourself. Y'all watch this right here. Oh yeah, we're just about ready to fire it up. Last but not least, the old 710 cap. Wait a minute, hang on. It's missing something. Now, let's fire this thing up. Well, fellers, I do believe we may actually be ready to try this thing now. It should have been ready 2 days ago. It's ridiculous how long it takes me to get anything done. Anyway, at least we're here. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anything. I did rob the hose off a dude. I'll get dude a new hose. We'll leave that on here. I made me a very rudimentary hold down over there on the distributor. Hey, if it works, it don't matter. Got it all wired up, as you can see. Got the oil sending unit plumbed. I had, I got a dipstick tube for it, but these headers, what needs to be right here, they're right in the way. Speaking of those headers, they're brand spankingly new. One of my nephews gave them to me. He was going to put them on his race car, but they wouldn't fit. Well, you can see where he beat the devil out of them with a big old Hummer. It don't matter. Engine Masters, they did a dyno test on headers. They took a set, just mashed them flat. And guess what? It had no effect whatsoever on horsepower, so I ain't worried about that. Anyway, this carburetor, I was not planning on using it. This I found in the old station wagon. Remember, it had all those parts in it? Well, that came out of it. It was locked up. I mean, tight. Wouldn't nothing move on it. I soaked it in a bucket for a couple of months. Finally got it broke free, got it rebuilt. Hopefully it's going to work. Here's a funny story real quick. The carburetor that came off of this motor, motorhome motor, it's on Lockjaw. And Lockjaw's carburetor will eventually go on this one. It's sitting in a bucket right over yonder right now, soaking, because it's in pretty bad shape. 2 or 3 years ago, long before I ever started, or even thought about starting a YouTube channel, he started thinking about this project here. The carburetor that was on here, it had a lot of vacuum lines all over it. And in his head, he thought, well, that's a small carburetor. I don't want it. He said he wanted me to go get the one off Lockjaw, so I did. And anyway, that's how they got swapped. I do believe we're ready. It is cold outside. It is very windy. And it may even be raining, but you know what? I don't care, because there ain't but one thing left to do. Let's give her the old try. Alrighty, here we go. I forgot my little thingamabob. I'm gonna try to do it with this here. A little bit grow. Alrighty, fire in the hole. believe the accelerator pump's working. Well, it might be. Interesting. That carburetor ain't gonna count. My secondaries are hanging open just a little bit, and well, it acts like it ain't getting no pump shot. Well, I think we got at least two issues going on with the old carburetor here. The squirters, the accelerator pump, it ain't pumping hardly nothing until about half throttle. And secondaries are hanging open. That's very dangerous. You can blow one up like that, and if it's on a vehicle, it'll cause you to wreck. But did y'all hear it when I had my hand over it there? Buddy, she went one pow pretty good. So I think what we'll do, it's late. Neighbors are going to start complaining. Tomorrow, I'll steal the carburetor off lockjaw. We'll put it on here, and I believe she's gonna run pretty good after that. Also, and oh, by the way, did you see me dodge the radiator cap? I left it sitting on the radiator, and I guess the fan caught it. It's out there in the yard somewhere. I'll have to find it tomorrow. Well, it's such a lovely day today. I think I'll go back here and get me a carburetor off old lockjaw. I guess I'm like the U.S. mail. Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night shall keep me from getting my carburetor off of my truck. I'm telling y'all, there's something wrong with my brain. Also, no, by the way, I got a call this morning that my trusses are ready. So hopefully, we'll get back on this shop here next week or two. Anyway, let me get this carburetor. All right, I got the carburetor devices swapped. But there's one more thing I got to fix. I shut her down last night, and I noticed there were some earls right there on the header. I thought, well, that's odd. Where'd that come from? Well, I got to looking, and there's Earl on the fan. I thought, well, that's even odder. Where in the world's that come from? Well, then I saw what it looked like a radiator leak right here. No, sir, that's not what that is. Oil pressure gauge. The ferrule, when I put that together, the ferrules, they had to squish around the hose, the line, whatever it is, and they have to conform to the inside of that fitting for it to seal. Well, that ferrule is really thick. Well, the way it's made, I thought there's no way that's ever going to seal, and well, I was right. So let me find a ferrule to fix this, then we'll roll her outside and give her the old try one more time. Alrighty, fellas, let's see if this carburetor is going to improve things a little bit. I already got it filled up with gasolines. Here we go, fire in the hole. Alrighty then. Harmonic balancer sitting there doing that right there. I reckon it ain't no count. Alright, let me fire it back up. See if I can set the timing. Well, she don't sound too bad at all, I don't think. I got a couple of issues though. I've been trying to figure out why is this header smoking and that one over there ain't. Well, upon further investigation, you big dummy, I don't got a dipstick tube in it. It's, you know, spraying oil out and hitting that header. So I got a little plug down in there to take care of that problem. I was over here setting the timing and I bent down, you know, had my head ear right here. I hear a little tapping. Well, went over there and listened, and same thing. May have to pull the valve covers in a while and check the valve lash again. I don't know if y'all heard me a minute ago, but that balancer, she's sitting there wobbling just like that, so we'll have to have a balancer. Timing is set pretty good, which that don't really matter because that distributor, it ain't going with this motor. But yeah, she sounds pretty doggone good. I tell you what, open headers with no flywheel or torque converter, boy, let me tell you what, she wraps up quick. Man, it sounds good too. Anyway, let me fire it up. Let's fully warm the thing up. I'd say that's some pretty decent oil pressure right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me show you all this balancer. She wobbling pretty good. I don't know if you can see it or not. That tapping, it's getting a little louder. Let's shut it down, get it inside. I'm gonna pull the valve covers off, see what we see. All right, I got it inside and got the valve cover off. I've already done that side. I had one rocker arm loose over there. And so far, I got one loose over here. How that happened, I don't know. It just did. I'm gonna readjust all of them. We'll pull her back outside and let it run, let it warm up. Well, it's been sitting here running, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. And guess what? It will not warm up. it could be, you know, put 4 holes in that thermostat housing. You might only need 1 or 2. That may be what's going on. I don't know. My 4-wheel drive, it's always had trouble warming up, but it's even worse now, and it could be because of the holes I drilled in the thermostat housing. So I might put a new one in it and just drill 1 hole and see what that does. So if you're doing something like this, you know, putting Vortec heads on, you might want to start out with just 1 hole in your thermostat. But anyway, found the radiator cap. His way out there. Adjusting the rocker arms, tightening them up, that took care of the tap. I believe it's sitting there running a lot smoother too. She runs pretty doggone good, if I must say so. Not bad at all. Well, it's very cold out here, so I'm going to talk fast. I'm not going to say much because I'm cold. This is a fun little project. It got on my nerves sometimes, but we finally got through it. That's just life sometimes. It'll throw curveballs at you. Well, you just swing different. Anyway, I'm glad we finally got to test out the old run stand. She does pretty good. The motor runs pretty doggone good, so I'm happy. Anyway, appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, hit that like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. And until next time, go do something. Blurp, blurp.